You hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/inkdependence keeps this channel ad-free. Hello folks, welcome to Ink Dependence. I'm Mike, and this is Sailor Yurameku Date Gokoro. This is one of the second series of Yurameku inks made in Japan. These are 20 ml bottles. They look like this. Nice little glass bottle here with a representation of the ink color there on the label. Put that away and let's take a look at this on some paper. All right, so here is Date Gokoro on what I've been using for reviews lately, which is Nebula Casual Note. This is a 90 GM2 paper. Flow on this ink, I'd say fairly medium. It's maybe, I don't know, maybe on the slightly wet side of medium, but pretty solid medium. Very mild bleed on copy paper, which we'll see here in a bit. And let me tell you, I've got this on a bunch of papers because these Yurameku inks are all, they act differently on different papers. It's just kind of their deal. And so I got to show you a bunch of different varieties of what this ink might look like for you. Qualities being pretty rad. Look at this color. Like, wow, neat, right? You have a nice purple color. You actually have some sheen on this one. I'm not convinced that all of these are actually sheening. I think a lot of this is actually just kind of a color change thing that it does because it sort of changes over time. It's really interesting as it dries. So, you know, I'll put up a graphic up here showing some of these, like what they look like when they're fresh versus what they look like when they've dried, that I took from the Sailor website. But I think that's a pretty neat thing that these do. This second series of Yurameku inks focus more on the sort of like dark, broody colors inspired by a fluctuating heart, or as they say, fluctuating. I hope either fluctuating is a word I don't know, or that's just a little bit of a typo. This one, glitzy or glamour mind. Very interesting stuff. I really like the color change of these things, and this Date Gokoro, the first of the 5 that I'll show you here, this is definitely the most purple of them all. Some of these are going to look a lot alike when they're dried, so this one definitely is always going to be kind of purple, but some of the other ones, oh, they're a little bit similar. So let's take a look at this. Let's do a little water test here. We'll do some chromatography. I'll show you a bunch of different papers, and that'll be it. All right, so let's focus in here. All right, so let's go ahead and whoa, that went a little bit too far. That's okay. A little bit of a mess. It's fine. Just wanted to say, hey, thanks Dromgoole for sending these out for review. I've had these for longer than I thought. I'm a few months in this pen for sure. It's been living in here in this this little Lamy Safari with a 1.1 stub, and as you can see, I have written this one dry again. This is an ink I just kind of kept using, and I kept forgetting to do a review for. Look at that interesting haloing we've got going on here. That's pretty cool. This is turned blue over here. This is kind of what I expected. Let's go ahead and mop up this blue here, or this water rather, and see what we end up with underneath. Yeah, we end up with a blue. So that's pretty cool. Those of you who are doing art stuff, this might be really interesting for an ink wash sort of situation because you do start out with a sheeny sort of purpley shiny thing and end up with a really nice kind of cobalty blue. Yeah, that's really cool. So is it waterproof as a purpley thing? No, but as a blue, this is pretty, like those are sharp. That's not an accident. You would absolutely be able to recover that. It just would be a different color. So that works fine for me. All right, here is the chromatography for that ink. And that's actually the same kind of thing that we saw on the page, although more of it stuck around on the page than I had really expected. That purple and all that sort of jazz kind of went up the sheet there, the little chromatography paper, but stayed blue down here on the bottom. Pretty neat little thing there. All right, first up, we have our bad copy paper. This is Sailor Yurameku Date Gokoro here on some 20-pound, 30% recycled copy paper from the Staples. And it's fine. Like, you can see some feathers and that sort of thing there. It didn't do a super job, but it did okay. This one is the one, actually, that was the best. Which one is that? Oh, Gokoro Guma, which is yeah, interesting. So yeah, this one had a little bit of bleed, a little bit of feather, but this is again pretty bad paper, so you know, not great. But yeah, it worked okay. Here we have my Inky Fingers currently inked notebook, and Date Gokoro is right here. You can see I've had it in this pen actually since the end of February. I kind of can't believe that. It doesn't feel like it's been that long at all, but yeah, you still get a lot of nice like reddish tones there. You definitely see that it's a purple right in there. Pretty cool on this paper. Worked just fine. Next up, this is a Galen Leather Everyday book, and this has Tomoe River in it. And you can see Date Gokoro right here. You can see that the shininess, the sheen there, if there is sheen on top of this one, definitely does kind of block out some of the purple tones. You don't get as much of that here on Tomoe River, but nonetheless, it does looks very nice, and the flow was great. It felt good, so yeah, that's a plus. And here I have it on Mormon Mnemosyne paper, which is one of the papers that I really like. And you can see here, this paper doesn't soak up the ink like some others. It's not really coated, I wouldn't say. It's just very smooth, but it looks very nice here. And you actually get some interesting shading as well as the color shift. And in a couple of places, I'll say even a little bit of sheen. So like here in the E's and N's and stuff there and represent, you get some interesting color shifts and tones here with this ink on this paper that you don't see on some of the others. So that's pretty neat. All right, so I'm not really going to do a bunch of color comparisons with other colors with these inks because these Yurameku inks, they're pretty much, they're not really like anything else. They're kind of like unto themselves. So I'm going to be showing you the ones in the line here. So Date Gokoro, of course, is up here at the top. This is a Dromgoole like ink sample sheet situation. It's very, very thick. This is almost cardstock. Like, look how thick that paper is. So yeah, here you definitely get a lot of purple, and it's obviously the most different among the darker ones. Suki and Date are green and purple, and the other three here are somewhere in between blue and blue-black and navy and something like that, with like a whole bunch of like color shift on top. So yeah, really interesting color here, and it looks pretty good on this paper, I gotta say. Next up, we have Cosmo Air Snow, and here we have Date Gokoro down here. Air Snow is kind of like Air Light, but it's got a whiter tone to it, so I think it's a little bit better for these kinds of reviews. So very nice purple color here and some definite sheen over here in this corner, but it didn't really get a whole lot of the color shift you'll see in some of the other papers, although you do see some around the edges where it was just kind of like, shifting a little bit. It's a really interesting ink, this one. Then this is the Sanzen Tomoe River, which is going to be replacing the classical Tomoe River here very soon in your notebooks and planners and such. And here it definitely takes on a paler purple cast. Still purple for sure, but more of a, a lavender sort of color. I've got original Tomoe River here, which is, again, a little bit different. All of these are going to be a little bit different on all these papers, but slightly more bluish purple on this one. And then lastly, I've got it on MD Cotton here, which is a lot, I think, like the Sanzen Tomoe River. I think these two colors are pretty alike between MD Cotton and Sanzen, but these two are total outliers. So yeah, this is a really interesting ink and not one that I really know how to describe super well. It's like kind of purple, has a little bit of a color shift, and is very interesting to use. So it's one that I've filled up a lot, and I definitely say check this one out. These Yurameku inks are really cool, and this set leans more toward these, like I said, darker, broodier kind of colors. Still get some multi-chrome, definitely have some color shift over time, but yeah, not the multi-chrome that you get from the first series. It's a very different kind of thing. So find these at your favorite Sailor retailer or at Dromgoole's, where they sent this out from. So thank you again, Dromgoole's, for letting me review this ink, and I'll see y'all in another video. Peace out.